Hi and welcome back. Okay, so now we're going to render out our normal map, and we're going to do that in Max as well. We're not going to create it, we're actually going to render it. And to do that, we need a lighting rig. Basically, we need 5 directional lights. And I've already set these up. I'm going to merge them in now, and you can see. Okay, so here they are. 5 directional lights. They've all been set up to point in a very specific direction and to very specific colours. I'm not going to take you through all the settings, but what I'm going to do is point you to a website, only because it takes so long, you know, when you can just read this in your leisure. Go to this website, bencloud.com/tutorials_normal_maps11.html. I'll leave that on here for a second so you can pause the video and write that down, or type it in as you watch this. So if you read through this, if you scroll down to creating a normal map right in your 3D app, he explains how to set up each of the lights. Very useful. And he actually got it from different pages where he was inspired by a different article, so you can look at that also. So do that. I've included these lights in this lecture, so you can download it, download the zip file and bring them into Max, and you'll see that they're all set up with the correct multiplier and the correct color for each one. And we know what a directional light is because we talked about this in Unity. Each one is basically an infinite sort of plane of light that sweeps through the scene based on its direction. Basically it's pointing, and you can see they're all pointing different directions. So that's our rig, and these can park anywhere. You can put them, it doesn't matter because they're infinite. The only thing that matters is the direction that they are facing, so you can position them wherever you want. Just park them over to the side, out of the way for now, and we'll leave them over there. Next thing to do is save this file, save as a new file, and call it the same as the previous one for rendering, but call this for normals on the end there, and save. Click yes. Okay, there's a few things we have to do. We have to change the materials. In fact, actually, the first thing is turn our skylight off. We no longer need that. Let's turn off our edges. Next thing to do is to change the materials on these. So if we go into our material editor, the bark, just go to the bark, go to your maps, and diffuse color, copy it so or delete it so it says none, and come up the top where I've told you to make it black. Now I want you to make it full white, and make sure you get all of these to white. Click OK, like that. And in the leaf one, do the same, but leave the opacity where it is. So just copy or delete the diffuse layer, leave opacity where it is, and make these again all white, like that. Let's just check it. Yep, okay, so it's working in the render, which is what we want. And you can see we've got the, if you look closely on these images, on this image, you know, the normal map's coming through really well. It looks quite convincing. All the leaves have got the opacity, and basically what this normal map's giving us is the direction that each of these leaves is facing, so that when we get it into Unity and we apply it to our material, we'll get that lighting effect in Unity also. It'll make it look more 3D. So we'll check this in Unity before we start using it as well, because we have to make sure. I've got a feeling that we need to invert the green channel of our normal map, but we'll go through that and we'll check it before we start using it. So shut that down. That's fine, that's all working. Let's just save that again, make sure it's for normals, like that. if you're having problems with Macs coping with this, because mine just crashed, so I've just booted it back up again. Just leave it. Don't put it on high detail. Just leave it off and standard. As long as when you render it, it looks like this, so you get the sort of normal map look. That's fine. You know it's working. The other thing to do is what I did is set the background color just to 127.127.255. That's the kind of neutral flat color for normal maps. However, we're not going to use that, but we just want it to render to that color so it flattens it out. We're not going to use it like this, so not to worry. We're going to take it to Photoshop and fill our background color. So set your in your environment and effects, your background color here, which you'll get this pop up, make it 127.127.255 and then click OK, turn that off. And if you click render again, not in that viewport, in your camera viewport, you should get that kind of bluey background. Okay, so I think we're ready to render. Actually, we're ready to go. I don't think there's anything else we need to do, so you can make sure you save that once you've set it all up. Let's click render. Just click render again just to make sure. We've got to do 2 here if you remember correctly. I keep scaling it down like because I've realized in the last video it kept cutting it off on the bottom of the screen here. So if I do that, it brings it on. It's because my screen that I'm using here is larger than the recording area. So anyway, so let's save that out. Save, and we're going to save it as a PNG file, and that way we get the alpha coming through. I'm going to call this, just call this branches, if I can spell right, normals, and we'll call this 01 because that's a good point. I'm going to have to remember which one's which, but just call that 01 and save it in. If you go back out, yeah, vegetation, textures, branches, normals 01, click save and make sure it's a PNG, it's really important, so click save. 24 bits fine, click OK. So that's the first one. Now go to cameras 01, render, click render at the top again, you should get that. Yep, looks good. So now save as branches, normals, PNG 02. Make sure it's in the same one, meshes, vegetation, textures, yep. Make sure you select PNG there again. Make sure you change that to 02. 24-bit. OK. Turn that off. Just click. Just save it out again. Right, now we're going to pop into Photoshop and have a look at this. And there we go, with no background, which is perfect. Exactly what we need. Yeah, we're going to take these into Unity in a moment and just double check that they are all facing the correct way. We can do that just by applying these to a plane and shining a light on it and moving the light around just to see how the light reacts with it. But first let's just put a background on there because we need to tell the normal map that it's flat at the back. So we just you know, if you're using Krita or GIMP, you can do the same. It's the same procedure. So you just add a new layer. Click, yep, okay, just drop it so it's behind. Remember, it renders up. So go to your color. Right, we need RGB, we need 127 red, 127 green, and 255 blue. Now this color is, like I said before, is neutral for normal maps. This defines it being flat. Anything with this color is just flat. So we fill this in the base layer like that. Now it's starting to look like a proper normal map. Right, so we just flatten that. Flatten the image, and we save that out again. This time as a TGA. Save as TGA. Branch normals 01 TGA. Save. And we don't need it to be 32 bit. Actually, don't need the alpha this time. 24 bits fine. Just click OK. Do the same for the second layer. Let's create a new layer. Okay, drop it at the bottom. We've still got our color. Fill it. Flatten the image and save as a TGA this time. And branches normal 01, branches normal 02. Okay. Right, so now we're going to jump into Unity and we're going to check that they work as normal maps. Right, and welcome back. So welcome to Unity. What I'd like you to do now, is a good opportunity to do this, is create a new scene. And you can see I've created, there's my forest scene down there, where we're going to put everything. So all I did here was create, so if you go into Assets and into your Scenes folder, right click, create scene there, and you'll get a new scene appear here. I've already done it, so I'm going to delete that, but then just rename it, call it Playground, like that, and then load it up, and then create a plane like I've done here, and put your 512 texture on it, or some other texture. It doesn't have to be that one. Just drop something on it, just so that you've got a sort of background, a base to work from in mine. And the grey is pretty neutral, so it's quite cool. So now we're going to try out our normal map, or two normal maps, I should say. Let's just create a folder in here for some texture. So we'll call this temp. Textures. So call it temp textures. Open your temp textures folder here, so there's nothing in there, and drag your two normal files into there like so. Okay, click that off. Now we want to create a material. Create, so right click inside here, create material, and call this normal test, like that. We've got to make sure that Unity knows that these are normal maps. So up in your inspector, texture type, just come down and click normal map, and then click apply like that, and it will turn it into a normal map. And do the same for the second one, normal map, click apply. Okay, so that's that. So in our window here, in our scene window, create a plane, right click, 3D object, come down to plane. There we go, and there it is. Okay, so just move it away from the bowels. We can probably scale that down a bit. It's quite big actually. Scale, just scale it down, go back to the move like that. Okay, so now our normal test, we need to drag one of these branches, our normal branches, onto the normal slot there, so you can see it. It's obviously rendering something, which is pretty cool. And then we take our material and we drag it onto our plane like that. You can see it's doing something, so something's working. That is showing up as a normal map only. There's no other texture on there, you can see. Nothing else. Bit of smoothness. Make it metallic if we want to. No, that's not a good idea. Yeah, okay, so let's bring in a light, create a light, point light. Just move it across the scene. It's quite light in here actually. Let's just see if we can. We've got a directional light in here. I think it's quite bright. Yeah. Okay. Let's turn this down a bit so we can see what we're looking at. That's better. Okay. So back to our point light. If we move this around, okay, you can see that that's wrong. See, I had a feeling that would be a bit wrong. Let's just go back to our material here. Bring down smoothness. Back down so I can see it a bit better. Okay, if you look at this branch here, as I move this light over it, you can see it's quite light on this edge now, on this side. If I move this over it like this, it gets dark, which just means it's doing the opposite to what it should be doing. It should be getting lighter because the light's coming this way now. So if I move it back over, past it, you can see it gets brighter. Can you see that? So it's bright, even though it's on this side. Darker, even though it's on the correct side. So that's wrong. And this is doing it also. So yeah, I mean, it's quite bright anyway, but you get the idea. It's not working correctly there. So what we need to do is go back into Photoshop. Okay, so back in Photoshop, bring them both into Photoshop, and we're going to flip the red channel. Sorry, not flip, but we're going to invert the red channel. I think that's what's causing the problem. So do both. So click on the one you're going to do first. Click on the red channel like this, so that none of the other channels are selected, and then just press Ctrl-I on your keyboard and it will invert that channel only. Do the same for the other normal map. Click on the red channel, Ctrl-I, and then save them out. File, save, file, save, like that. Now copy them back over. The Art of Games, Unity. Yeah, assets, scenes, we put it in, and yep, temp textures. So here they are, both in here. So go to your source folder, and branches 01, branches normal 02, TGA. Just copy them in here, replace existing files, like that. Go back into Unity. I've already done it, so you might just get a little conversion thing going on, and they should end up looking like this more now. And now if we move the light around, they should be correct. Yes. So you can see the light lighting up this side of the branch, and where it flows through that branch is a lot more convincing and realistic. It's all lighting up in the correct way. So all the way down through that branch is lighting up. Can you see down through here? Over to the other side, that's all correct. So that is now working properly. Yeah, our little branch is all lighting up. Let's just get in there close so you can see. Lighting up on both sides. You know, it's probably got some dark patches and stuff, but that's fine. That's just how it rendered out. But look, you can see the normal in that now really nicely coming through. And that bark makes a big difference. So that's really cool. It's going to look good on our tree. So that's our normal maps done. Let's just delete that. We can leave that in there. Okay, so that's it. So that's our normal maps done. We're going to go to the next lecture and actually make our branches so that we can stick them on our tree. I'll see you there.